I'd love to give a St. George tips and trick video. I won't lie, because St. George is an awesome race. One of my favorites. It might, if I had to pick one, at least the old St. George course, the really crazy hard one, that might be my favorite 70.3 course in the world. Unfortunately, it is the last year for the St. George 70.3, my favorite race on the 70.3 circuit. So we had to do St. George because we have to bid it farewell. Hopefully it will come back again in the near future, but for now, it looks like it's going to be the last one. The first year that I raced there was 2014. To give it context, I had my professional debut in 2013 at the Muskoka 70.3, and it was the same day as the 70.3 World Championships. I believe that year it was I want to say it was in Nevada that year. Am I correct on that? Pretty sure. Keenlay won. And anyways, so I won in Muskoka, and so I thought I was a hot shot, and like, oh yeah, I'm one of the best in the world. I won a pro race. But it was the same day as the 70.3 World Championships. And so, well, I guess that means probably none of the best 70.3 racers in the world were there. And so then I went to my next race, which was Galveston 70.3 in, I don't know, it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks prior. And I got a flat tire, and then I didn't have stuff to change it. And then I waited for the support, and then they changed it for me. And then I got a flat tire again about a minute down the road. And then they gave me a new rim. And then I did the rest of the race. And so that sets me up for St. George, which was my next race. And I was fully committed to the game at this point because I was a hot shot. And I was in Tucson for a big training camp for like 2 months away from Aaron. And so I trained really hard, and I thought I was, one of the best in the world. But I had that double flat tire, and so definitely needed to make sure that I wasn't going to get a flat tire again. So I rode gator skins. Smart move. And definitely didn't get a flat tire, but wish I did. So came out of the water. That was the era when Andy Potts was pushing the swims pretty hard.
Can you read us a little bit of the start list?
The start list
It's
was
on your phone.
the start list was. I don't need to read it. I remember the start. I mean, that has to have been one of the most stacked races ever to have occurred. That had Andy Potts, Jan Frodeno, Tim Don, Sebastian Keenlay, Brent McMahon was fresh out of ITU, Terenzo Bozzoni, Hoffman. I mean,
Tim Reed, Patrick Lang.
Everybody. Like at that time, just about everybody was at that race. It was the North American Championship. I think that was pretty new also for them to be doing like the North American champs and stuff. I think that was kind of a new addition. So anyhow, long story short, that was probably one of the most stacked 70.3s I've ever done. And it raced that way, and I believe Andy Potts led out of the water. I think he was 5 minutes ahead of me, and big group of ITU guys, Jan, Tim Don, etc. And then I think I lost another maybe 4 minutes on the bike to the top bikers, and then I ran for Pride, and I ran okay. I think I maybe ran a 1:12, and I finished 10 minutes down to Jan Frodeno, and realize, wow, I am not even in the ballpark of the top guys in the world. Not even in the ballpark. And I remember going for a run in the Red Rocks with my mom after, and I had put so much pressure on myself and had hyped the whole thing up in my head. And I remember just feeling like a bag of shit about myself. And then I realized, and it was a pivotal moment for me, because I realized wow, I got into this sport to enhance my mental health, and now I'm in a horrible headspace, and it has totally brought down my mental health. And so I vowed from that race on that I would never go into a race like that ever again with that perspective, and that I would always just race to give it my very best on the day, and how the cards fall is how they fall. And that was a pivotal moment in my career. I've never looked back from that day. It was an important moment of my career. A, realizing that I am nowhere even in the ballpark of the best guys in the world. And B, getting my orientation to the sport correct. And so then that set me off really on a great pathway after that race. And I went to work and I worked hard. And then I think the next 4 or 5 races, I basically podiumed or won. And then I went to the 70.3 Worlds that year against the exact same field. And this time I think I was still like 4 minutes and something down from Gomez, who went on to win. But I had knocked off like 6 minutes. I mean, getting rid of the gator skins definitely helped. But I had knocked off a lot of the time in approximately 4 months. So that was St. George 1. St. George 2014.
And then they returned back in 2016, and you started the season off with a tear.
So 2016, I was coming into my own. I realized at the 70.3 Worlds in 2014 that I actually could be competitive, at least on the bike run, and anything I got in the sim would just make me more competitive with the best guys in the world. And so that began a journey, a really good journey. I was in a right mental space for a long time throughout that. I was doing my own thing, listening to my own internal voice. Of course, learning, always investigating, but I was listening to my intuition. And I went to St. George 2016 feeling like I'm knocking on the door of one of the best in the world. And I think I was at the 70.3 that year. I was knocking on the door of one of the best in the world. And I battled Sebastian Kienle there pretty well wire to wire on that one, and ended up taking the win. And that was a fantastic experience. It was the North American champs as well that year. And yeah, that was where I really was like, yeah, I'm one of the best in the world. And that brought me into 70.3 Worlds in 2016. I had taken it off in 2015. But I went to 70.3 Worlds in 2016 thinking and feeling and believing like I could win the world title. 2017 was a great season. I had broken the Ironman record at Arizona at the end of 2016. And I concluded that I was going to retire from Ironman because my swim was still so bad. And you just can't do well in Kona if you don't at least make a group of guys who can ride the bike. And so I retired from Ironman, and so I was a full-on 70.3 specialist coming into the 2017 St. George. I had just raced Jan in Oceanside about a month prior. He got a flat, but I had caught him at like 15 miles on the bike, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, I was going to beat Jan in my mind. We'll never know, but that's the mental space that I went into St. George 2017 in. The unfortunate part is it was also Alistair Brownlee's debut, I even think. It may have even been his debut, fresh out of ITU, debut at the 70.3, and probably one of his best 70.3s, and I was on the receiving end of that. And I probably didn't give him enough respect on the bike, and I think he outrode me there, and I outrode him by a little bit.
By a couple seconds.
Yeah, so it was like I didn't pull back any. He was a phenomenal swimmer. I was probably 3.5 minutes down out of the water, and then we rode even. And that's like one of the the guy who pushed the limits on the run in ITU. How you gonna run him down? I almost ran him down. If my memory serves me correctly, he won by 27 seconds. Fact check.
Little, like, it's like
31 seconds. 33
34.
seconds. So I almost got him, but I didn't. And so that was...
and he was hurting.
That one hurt. I won't lie. That one hurt because I felt like I could have won that one had I maybe been a bit more respectful and raced it a bit better. But hindsight's always 20/20 when you race. So that was cool to be part of that, to be part of Brownlee's debut. And then, of course, 17 was my best season. I only lost to Brownlee and Lang and Kona, so that was my best season. And actually, how I came out of Ironman retirement that year was in the Challenge Championship, and I swam with Kienle. And that was my goal. I was like, I'll return to Kona when I can at least swim with Kienle. And I swam with Kienle, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to Kona. And so that was the end of my retirement from Ironman. And then 18, I'm back being a hot shot in my mind because I almost won the world title, this time for real, and lost it with 5K to go in 17. And so 18, I'm a hot shot, and I go to Oceanside once again. I have to give the context to all these races because I went to Oceanside as a hot shot, and Jan, well, he was actually a hot shot, and he came to Oceanside and swam bike and ran me. So then, of course, I'm always one of those people, I have been in the past, where I get, beat up, and then I have to go try and cancel it out somewhere else. And so then St. George 2018, I had to go cancel out that Oceanside performance. And once again, it was Keenlay who was the battling, guy. And I took the W there. And that was a very good performance. I had a good swim bike and run, I believe, that year. And
then there was a pretty good gap.
That kind of set me, that 18 was kind of as you know, if you've been following around, that's kind of was where I fell off a cliff. And we know why, I don't know. My theory still is that time when Jan came to Oceanside, he just mentally destroyed me, and then I couldn't. He swam bike and ran me, and I threw everything out the window. Everything I thought I knew, I threw out the window, and it just set me down a bad pathway of mental, just insecurity, really. So then 19, I got a stress fracture, and I missed St. George, and that was a bummer. 20, COVID. 21, how could I forget? 21. Now the new crop of talent's coming out. All right, we got Sam Long, Magnus Ditlev, Daniel Backegard. There was one other, Rudy Von Berg. Might have been one more.
Jackson Laundry.
We all came off the bike within 20 or 30 seconds of each other. Yeah, there was 5 of us all came off the bike. And now this is, after COVID, this is sort of ushering in the new era where one guy is not, going to clearly win a race anymore. There's 5 guys who can win a race now. And that was kind of the beginning moment where I experienced that. And so we battled, and Backegard pulled away on a really hard hill. And I remember thinking, well, Backegard's going to win. Looks like we're, going for second. And then I woke up. I just remember waking up and being like, is it really? That's how this is going to go? You're just going to let this guy run away from you with 10K to go or 8K to go? You're just going to let this guy run away from you? And so then I bridged the gap back to Backegard. And then Backegard found out he was disqualified or something because he didn't serve his penalty, something like that. And then so he just kind of dropped back. And then it was just me and Sam for the final downhill section, 5K or so. In fact, I even think you have a video up on the YouTube about it that we almost got banned from racing Ironman for because you're smacking into Hoka arches and stuff because you're not paying attention to the road while you're filming it. But anyways, we got a warning for that. We corrected that. We didn't do that again. And it was a great video, though. You can go and watch it. It's a great video.
It was 300,000 views or something.
Yeah, it's a good video. And we battled. We basically battled that entire run. I remember Sam yelled at me on that run. For cones. There was a turnaround at the far end. And it was not clear what cone is the end. They put cones around the side and they put cones down the middle, and it wasn't clear what cones you should turn around at. And maybe we turned around one cone early or something. I don't know. And Sam went all the way to the extra 4 feet and ran by the next cone. And I remember him screaming.
I think we have it on video.
Screaming at us that we needed to go be past that particular cone. And I got lippy back to him, actually. I remember saying, it wasn't fucking clear what fucking cone it is, something like that.
Isn't that what that fucking cone means? It's a turnaround, a cone. A cone's a fucking turnaround. It's all good, dude. They put a cone at the turnaround.
And he was like, oh, it's all good. It's all good. And so anyways, long story short, we battled. And and then I took the sprint with about 200 to go. And that was a great memory. That was probably one of my most memorable battles because it was so long and hard fought. And that was a lot of fun. And that is St. George 2021.
In 2022, we returned. A good year.
2022. Oh, yes, the Ironman.
Ironman.
Wow, I forgot about that. I'm like, 2022? I didn't do a 70.3 there in 2022. You're right. And then we went for the Ironman. Damn, I didn't realize how many times I have been to St. George, like, and had great races there, actually. 2022 was the Ironman World Champs. And so, of course, I came in pretty confident. I was the defending champ from the 70.3. I kind of knew, a lot of the course. I loved the place, knew where to stay, knew how to train there. And so I knew I was going to have a good race. In fact, I was so confident in myself, I was like, I'm not even going to race these guys. I'm just going to do my own thing. And, well, it'll work once. And it worked once. If it worked, if that's the right way to describe it, getting second is it worked. I mean, I was never winning, right? It would have required such a pivotal, I would have had to been in such a different mental space and trained differently in order to have a shot to win that it was never going to happen. So I was never winning that race. So second was always the best I could do. And it was cool. It was fun. I mean, once again, in my current mindset, when I reflect back on that, I'm like, you didn't even try to win. I mean, you didn't even try. It's like, ugh, lame. But, oh well, I got second. Of course, you get second at the Worlds. It's good for your bank account. It's good for your sponsors. Everyone was happy. I was obviously happy. It was the new era. A lot of the guys were there. Not all of them. Of course, it was missing Lang and Ditlev.
There was a lot of people dropping flies on the
It was like the cursed race. Yes,
yeah.
It did seem like the cursed race because I remember, I think Lang broke his arm or something, and Ditlev crashed or got sick, and Gustav got sick. And then with a week to go, I'm in my final session doing my final workout, and where the curb sometimes, it's like you're running downhill and then the curb goes straight again, but then it's back downhill. I literally clipped it and went head over heels. I was going full tilt downhill and fell really hard. I was like, oh my God, I'm out too when I was on the ground. And anyhow, it was all right. I just got cut up. And so, yeah, it did seem like the cursed race, which I think shows how difficult it is to get really in good shape early on in the season for some people, because a lot of guys were pushing the limits to get in shape fast, and then a lot of guys got sick or injured or whatever. So it is tough to get in shape for a world champs early. So it's probably good that we don't put world champs early, allow people a runway to progress. But yeah, that was a fun race. Swam, had a pretty good swim. Well, not pretty good. I was 5 minutes down to the front, 2 minutes downish to Christian. He had a bad swim. Then eventually, everyone rode away from me on the bike. I just did my own thing. Werf and Long had almost 2 minutes on me on the bike at one point, and then I ended up catching them both and coming off the bike with Werf and Christian. And I think it was Laidlow, Backegard, what's his name?
I can't remember. Braden
Curry. Who else?
Kyle
Smith. Yeah, there was a lot of good guys in that race.
Yeah.
And they definitely understood the game, you know what I mean? They were pushing the bike together. They knew that they needed to get rid of Christian, not see him. Anyhow, ran, stuck to my own thing. My mantra, I'm not even proud of it. My mantra was, if it hurts, slow down. That was my mantra the whole race.
I don't know if you've ever heard.
Wow, that was inspiring. So anyways, came off the bike, did my own thing, and it panned out to get second eventually. It was a lot of fun, of course, to catch Curry with 200 to go or something in an Ironman, working all day. It's not my most inspiring, even to myself, performance, but on the world stage, it was one of my best performances.
Even Pat Lemieux at one point, we were concerned for you because you were just jogging, and Pat rolled up next to you on the bike and said, "You doing okay?" And you're like,
"Yeah, I'm just doing my own thing. If it hurts, I just slow down."
No, I think you said to him, Yeah, doing great. How are you doing?
I'm just out here doing a training day. I mean, it panned out. It panned out.
It did not work.
It panned out. Trust me.
It won't.
It will never work again. That if you race a world champs that way ever again, you will always get like 20th place. I promise you. So don't do that. Like, unless you doing that is like 330 to 340 watts on the bike, and that's your easy pace, and you can swim 48 minutes. All right, go ahead. Do your easy pace. Do it. Don't race the race. Just do your own thing. So anyways, that was 2022, which I had forgotten about. And then was it 23? The next one or 4?
You have to finish one more. You have to finish one more part of 2022.
What?
The after party.
Yeah, that this is the mind space I'm in 2022. So, didn't try to win, did my own thing. If it hurt, I just slowed down. And then to add insult to injury, I don't know who invited this party, who made this party, but it was UFC night.
I think it was me.
I enjoy UFC. I really enjoy watching UFC. So let's invite Christian Blumenfeld and Gustav Eden over. Christian just beat me. And I just don't even care. It doesn't bother me any. And let's have them over, for a party at my house. They don't even like UFC. Let's have them come over. Well, that's interesting. Interesting time, That just shows the competitive urge that I had at that time.
Okay, 2023, to add insult to injury.
Let's instead reflect on Hayden Wild in the second place position against Helly Geens. Let's reflect back on what he looked like on the podium next to Helly Geens. Do you think Hayden Wild invited Helly Geens over that night for dinner? He was like, yeah, let's shoot the shit, pal. What a great race. Good work, dude. No. Maybe he did, but he didn't indicate that was his mindset on the podium.
No.
And what did it produce? An absolute destruction in Singapore. So that's the right mindset as far as I'm concerned.
All right, 2023.
2023.
This was the...
Chauffeured Trevor Foley all the way to St. George.
Yeah.
Put him up in a house. Got him a new watch. New phone. 10,000 followers. And then he hands me my ass. Didn't wake up, though. It didn't really wake me up. That never woke me up. I don't know why. When you're down low, you're down low. Anyways, Sam Long, was just a few years prior where we were neck and neck battling for the W, and now he's 5 minutes up the road. Interesting. And, 2020, I've had every experience there, I would say now. I've been vicious and anger. I've been the low of I'm going to retire. I'm a piece of shit. I've been apathetic. 2023, I would label as apathetic. Aaron asked me the night before the race, how you feeling? And I said, I'm feeling nothing. I'm not feeling excited. I'm not feeling sad. I'm not feeling mad. I'm not feeling nervous. I'm literally feeling nothing. Apathy. Also not good. Big warning sign. And so, that 2023 of all of them would be the one that I'm most ashamed of. Just being so physically and mentally weak and so not into it. That was the bottom. But I didn't wake up. I hadn't woken up yet.
So you come back 2024, you're wanting to race, but you fractured your rib after
Oceanside. Is that why I wasn't there? You're right. That's why I wasn't there last year.
And Sam was kissing babies to the
Stupid
finish
rib.
line.
Yep.
Sam won by almost 10 minutes.
Yeah, he wanted vengeance from Oceanside. He got second in Oceanside, and that was kind of going to be the rematch there. And so I had at least gotten back near competitive again.
So
sucked.
When you look at all these years of racing in St. George, it is going to be another firecracker of the year and pretty much a replica of 2021 with the start list. Because you have Magnus Ditlev coming over.
Ditlev's come a long way since 2021. Yeah, Ditlev was probably, I would assume, no more than 30 seconds ahead out of the water, and then we must have bridged the gap to him, and because we all came off the bike together. So bridging the gap to Ditlev now that's a tall task. I don't know if that's a realistic task anymore. So beating Ditlev, I mean, Ditlev's probably the proven middle and long distance, in my opinion. He's probably the proven best at middle and long distance right now. So you're racing the best in the world. Christian on paper should be the best at middle and long distance, but he hasn't proven that yet. And Lang he doesn't do very well in the middle distance, so he's the best at the long distance. So Ditlev is right now the best in the world across middle and long distance, and so that's going to be really hard. That's going to be really hard. It'll be the hardest battle I've done. St. George, obviously, or Ironman Worlds would have been hard had I tried, but I'm going to try to win this time, and it will be the hardest try in a middle distance race to beat Ditlev probably in my career. So St. George has been a fantastic place. I absolutely love St. George. I would move to St. George. I would live in St. George. It's a fantastic place. It's a real shame that it's the last year. I hope that you enjoyed my rambling 7 experiences, or whatever that is, of St. George. It's been a very influential race for me across my career. I've had so much just good and bad experiences there, and so I thought it was important to kind of bid it farewell and give thanks for all the great memories. And so this year is going to probably be one of the best as well, memory-wise. Win or lose, I'll celebrate, but it's fun going up against guys who push you to your limit, and when you're in the right mindset and willing to accept the challenge, it's a lot of fun, and I know it's going to be insane. It's going to hurt so bad to try, and I'm looking forward to it, and I've got a lot of training to do to be physically ready and mentally ready for it. So I hope you guys tune in, because I think it's going to be a real battle, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great guys on the start list. And anyone who's racing it for the final time, I wish you guys the very best and soak it in. It's a great race.